Oh, yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Is there still a storm there?
No. Everything's pretty like it's getting warmer.
That's good. Yeah, just like I don't ever know what's going on here, but then you just see like on Facebook everyone's like craziest snowstorm ever. Like,
Yeah, no, it was not that. I mean, it was crazy, but it was all right.
yeah. How what's the temperature like today?
I don't know. I haven't been outside yet, but probably it's like yeah. I mean, I'm looking outside right now and it's sunny, so I think it'll probably be fine.
That's cool. Um,
Yeah.
one question I want to ask you is like, what would you, if you had like a cosmic business card, like what would you put on it? Kind of like, just like,
Ooh.
kind of like if you give it to the like, to the guard keeper of Valhalla or whatever, like is your,
Wow. I guess like dream maker. Like I
ooh,
feel like I make dreams.
yeah, cool.
Because I'm able to like kind of bring dreams to life, whether it's my dreams or someone else's dreams.
Yeah. And that's so cool. What a,
Because I feel like that's why film is such a powerful medium, and when it was initially, almost as soon as it was invented, it was realized that you could use it to create and portray things that weren't real or that weren't necessarily physically in front of you, so you could actually visualize someone's dream fully, using special effects.
that's so cool. I never thought about that before. Like there must have been somebody that invented that. That was like,
Yeah, I mean, I would say George Méliès,
okay.
who was kind of the inventor of the special effects. Basically, he was filming a street block because initially, when film was first invented, it was like, okay, well, this is about documenting what's just literally in front of you. Then he was filming a city block, and then the camera jammed, and then he started the camera up again, and he realized that it looked like some people had disappeared and some people had reappeared and cars had moved or disappeared, and then he realized I could actually make it look like impossible things were happening.
Wow.
And then he just got more and more into it until he invented the crossfade and the double exposure, which he used to make it look like people were floating, and he would film through aquariums to make it look like people were underwater. And he made a trip to the
Wow.
moon, which is considered the first real science fiction adventure film in 1902.
That's so cool. I didn't
Yeah, it's
realize
so
how,
incredible.
that's so cool because that's like, I'm always scared. I'm always scared if I make a movie, it would like just be too weird and like nothing would be like I wouldn't know where to start filming, because it's just like
Oh,
it's
you shouldn't worry about that.
I worry about it like all day long. But yeah, you have no like one thing I really like about your style um is you have no limitations. Like it's
I
not
try not to. Yeah.
almost that exists in real life, so you're inventing everything. Um
Yeah, I really try to kind of go into different worlds and explore dreams.
that's so cool. And do you like um do you find that, or is most of the information you have, like all the stuff you've learned about, is it from seeing movies and then going back to seeing how it was made, or just like you making mistakes along the way? Or
I would
not
say both. I would
both?
say both. I
Equal?
mean, what?
Equal? Like
Yeah, I
equal
would say
amount?
equal. It's an equal amount of watching movies and then seeing how to copy them.
Yeah.
And then also just like even though forced perspective is a concept that existed like since basically just like close to the beginning of film, I when I was a kid I just figured out that you could do that like independently without knowing that that was already a thing,
Yeah.
because I just started putting like dinosaur toys like close to the camera and having people like react to them like farther away.
That's so
And I thought I invented it when I first did it, and I was like 6 or 7, and then I realized
I
it's
think
actually like a decades old cinematic trick.
I think you know what, when you invent something so good by yourself, you get credit. I think you invented
Well, At least like in your own world, you get credit.
Yeah, from now on, every movie I watch where they do that, I'm like, Dylan invented that, even if
I
it's
definitely like did it.
I
But
can't
thank
help
you.
myself.
Gulliver's Travels, the 1961, is a really good example of really creative use of forced perspective. Like
Yeah,
it actually looks pretty realistic because it's all this completely in camera effect.
that's so cool. Do you enjoy like because it seems like you have to control so much stuff to do little like I know you work on little places, right? Like you
Like
do
miniatures.
yeah. Do you
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, the bathtub with Bob Burt. Most of the sets were all miniatures, and then we shot all the live actors on green screen.
that's so cool. Was that tell me about that. That movie's so cool. Tell me about making that like
Thank you. It took a really long time. I initially wanted to shoot some scenes on real sets and some scenes on green screen. And Claris, who is the production company that made it all possible, basically was like, well, we don't really have the budget to build sets like what you want, but we can build miniature sets and shoot the entire thing start to finish on green screen. So I was initially a little skeptical, and basically I said, um, okay, well, I'm down to do that if I can still shoot handheld and we can actually track the actors into the miniatures so it looks like they're really like physically there. And when the camera moves, the background moves. So it doesn't just look like two layers of video stacked on each other. It
right,
actually looks like it doesn't have to look realistic, but I want you to feel like you're actually watching these characters
right.
in this make-believe world, and that they're actually, grounded and they're actually in these environments. So it was very much, I think, a learning process for all of us. It's so fun. I'm always saying in every interview about anything I do, it was a learning process. But I mean, it's like I'm always learning.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's good.
it's not like you're ever done learning when you're making stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Um,
to me, that's what like recording a record is. It's just
of
like
course.
how many mistakes can you make before you are just like this song's done, you know? Like
Yeah, or you can make a mistake and the mistake actually sounds better than what you wanted to do.
yeah, that totally. That's where you get born creativity. Free
Yeah,
creativity is a mistake, I guess. Um,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely. I just think, I mean, a lot of what I do is born out of improvisation because I mean, I initially started in the current incarnation of what I do now. I started as a teenager as a performance artist, and I was performing in these dive bars in the Lower East Side, and I would watch all these other performers mostly, do stuff that was very spontaneous, and that became the basis for basically everything I do.
that's so cool. Yeah, I'm a big fan of watching things that are um, spontaneous
Yeah,
and improvised, but that is not in your face, like where you're
totally.
like, oh, like you can feel the energy of it and the excitement of because when people record anything and they're excited and have energy, especially like that first take or that first time, like nothing's ever as good as that feeling of energy and stuff. And people, that's my favorite thing to watch and listen to and see. And you
Definitely.
have like, yeah, like I love working with people where it's like, you know what, it's a mistake, but that's just a word. It's actually better. Like
Yeah,
we never could have guessed that that would happen. That's
absolutely.
cool. Yeah. So how long have you been making movies for? when
Making movies,
when did you start
I
this career of yours?
I mean, I started, I mean, I like just like anything that even just vaguely qualifies as a movie, I would say. I mean, I my mom won a VHS camera in a teacher's raffle when I was little.
Oh, cool.
So I started just experimenting with like her VHS camera when I was like 5 years old. Um and I literally like I just refused to put it down, and I literally just used it and used it and used it until it broke. And then I also was a child actor. So I
Oh,
got to be on, yeah, I guess I don't know if I ever mentioned that to you, but I had a few roles on like television and in like some small movies as a kid.
that's so
And
cool.
yeah, I the biggest one that my big claim to fame is that I played the serial killer Henry Lee Lucas as a child on A&E Biography
Wow.
when I was like 6 or 7. There's, I think it's on YouTube. It's like just one of those, you know, they upload basically every serial killer
Wait,
documentary to
tell me, I'm
YouTube.
writing that down. On what
A&E Biography Henry Lee Lucas. I'm you'll probably, I mean, I think there might be two different ones, so I hope
I'm
the
watching the whole
one,
thing.
because I think there's a few Henry Lee Lucas documentaries on YouTube, and I think one might be mistakenly labeled A&E Biography, but I know that there's one on YouTube that has me in the reenactments
That's
as a
amazing.
child. I mean, I don't know if you can tell it's me, but it was me. But that was the first time, you know, I got to see how a bigger film set worked with a crew, and I
Right.
also got to see how low budget like horror effects were done, because there's actually a scene where I get stabbed in the eye, and it was the first time I got to work with fake blood.
Oh my
And
God.
I had never seen fake blood before, and they like poured fake blood over my eye, and they had like a fake knife.
That's crazy. So what got you into acting? Did you just want to do it or did your
I just think as a kid I just like loved movies. Like I just wanted to be around movies. Like I didn't know, I think when I was little I didn't know if I wanted to direct movies or act in them. And I think just when I was little, I just like wanted to watch and make movies like all the time. Like when I played with my toys, I even would pretend like that was like a movie. Like everything had to be a movie with me.
Yeah,
Um so
that's so cool. You
um
you were born to make movies.
yeah, I kind of feel like I was, and I remember I went to camp and like we were doing something with the video camera, and I think that's when I kind of realized I enjoyed, like I think we all had to take turns with the camera, and that's when I realized I enjoyed being the director more than I enjoyed acting, even though I do act still, but I mostly like to direct.
Yeah.
And then I remember the specific memory of me, like I was in a hotel with my parents and I was like pouring like dried Fruit Loops into a bowl. And I don't know why, but that was like the moment where I was just like, I think I like want to be a director for like the rest of my life. And
Wow.
I like told my parents, and they were like, okay.
They were cool with it?
Well, they were just kind of like, well, I mean, it was like so casual the way I brought it up. Like they were like talking about something else. And I was kind of like, I think like I want to be a director like for the rest of my life. And they were like, okay.
That's awesome. That's so funny. I love that moment. That's so cool. Just that moment where you realize like as a kid or whatever, just like, yeah, I know now. You're really lucky
Yeah.
because I'm still trying to figure it out. No, I'm just kidding. I know that I am, but that's so cool. Um, oh, I thought my dog was trying to.
Oh, your dog was there? I think
Uh,
my bunny is around. Is she?
yeah,
Oh no,
where's Bunny?
she's hiding under the bed right now. Maybe like at the end I could like actually detach the camera and like bring it under the bed with a light or something, but it's hard to find her.
They
And it's
don't,
hard to film her.
yeah, they don't hibernate, right?
She doesn't hibernate, but okay, so rabbits nap 18 times a day apparently, and you sometimes can't tell if they're napping because they often nap with their eyes open. The
Ugh.
only difference is that between being awake and being asleep is that her nose won't twitch if
Oh,
she's sleeping. So she'll basically like freeze with her eyes open
really?
and be like asleep. And so I didn't realize that until recently. Like I looked it up. So sometimes she would just be like kind of frozen, and then I would like touch her, and she'd kind of get like startled and like look at me like, "What? Like, why did you wake me
Yeah,
up?"
totally. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I really can't wait till we get a bunny.
Bunnies are so cute. I love them. They chew up all of your stuff, but they're like so like cute. Like they're so fun. I
Yeah,
love them.
I'm on that, like, what's the giant ones called again?
Flemish giant rabbits. I think I added you to that Facebook group.
Yeah, I'm on this Facebook page.
They're so cute. They're the friendliest.
Really? Okay.
Flemish giant rabbits are, I think, the friendliest kind of rabbits, and they're like really, they're so big and like docile and nice. And yeah, they're like the cuddliest bunnies, I think.
That's so sweet. So, sorry for this question, but how long do they live, the big ones?
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of them, it's just anywhere from like 5 to 10 years.
Oh, really? That's
I
great.
think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, definitely at least 5.
That's a great amount of time. Do you know that octopuses only live 1 year?
I did not know that. That's crazy.
That's so crazy. Like,
That's
yeah,
nuts.
they only live 1 year, which I can't believe because they're so smart. Like,
yeah,
smart at 1 year.
I guess they get all their knowledge in that year. I mean, maybe the year is like really long for them, you know? I mean, it's their whole lifetime, so it has to be.
Yeah, totally. But I think,
I mean, that's how I sort of think about it with animals, is like I try to think about it as like, you know, it might not feel like a long time to us as people, but to them it's their whole lifetime. So it's not like they're feeling like they have a shorter time. They just feel like, you know, this is my life. And I feel like they probably experience time differently.
Yeah, I agree. I've been like, definitely when we were on tour every other month, I was just like, shit, like, how long is a month to the dog? Like, it probably, I'm leaving for like 6 months every time I
Yeah, no, it's probably like a year or something.
Yeah, and then now I'm home every day, and it's still, if I like sit up for, it's been a year, right? Like, our last tour was, it's been over a year. It's been like 14 months, and like, she still is like, every time I get up, she's like, whoa.
Would you ever bring your dog with you on tour?
Well,
like Sublime?
I know it's a good idea, but like, I feel like the reason I have a twofold reason I don't bring her, and one is that everyone gets so annoying on tour. Like, everyone knows that. Everyone, at some point when you're with people 24 hours a day,
right, you're just gonna get agitated.
You're gonna get pissed. But so I feel like if I don't bring the dog, it gives me a little bit more like wiggle room to be more annoying. You know,
that makes sense.
If I brought the dog, everyone would be like, why are you upset? You have your dog. But
right.
Also, I think it's like, at this point too, it's like the, you know, like like how we got to hang out after the show, like that last show, which was so fun. At, what's that?
Knockdown Center?
No, we played
Brooklyn Steel?
What?
Brooklyn Steel or Knockdown Center?
No, it was like a St. Vitus.
Oh, right. Yeah. We got that was really nice.
Yeah, just like we got to hang out outside and like.
Yeah. That was like we had like a lot of time to hang out.
Yeah, like if I had the dog, I wouldn't.
Right, you'd have to take care of the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like,
that was such a magical day. Did I tell you what happened after that?
No.
We walked back to the bus, and I found my one of my favorite movies ever on VHS, right on top of like the little rectangle for the bus stop.
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
What movie?
Careful by Guy Madden, which is like a super like not that obscure, but like pretty like obscure and like weird to just find in the middle of the night across the street from St. Vitus. Yeah. Like literally placed like on top of like the bus map.
Yeah.
Like it was waiting for me. Like someone knew it was like literally like one of my top 5 favorite movies. Like literally the last podcast I was on before this, I was talking about Careful. I was on this movie podcast, and I like devoted an hour to talking about just Careful by Guy Madden because I'm like obsessed with this movie.
Well, I want to know why you're obsessed. Can you tell me?
It's beautiful. I mean, just
are you burned out on talking about it?
No. I mean, I can talk about it forever. It's just like one of my favorite movies because it's so beautiful. It's shot on actual like 30s film stock. And it was made in the 90s, but it looks like it was made in like the 30s, and it has these very surreal elements to it. And I think something I really love about Guy Madden is that he is so good at world building, and he kind of brings you into these surreal worlds and that have different rules than our world has.
Yeah.
But once he kind of introduces it to you, at least I feel like the things just kind of, even if they don't necessarily explain them, a lot of the rules start to make sense just because you're like, okay, well, it's this world, there's a different set of rules. So like a recurring theme in a lot of Guy Madden movies is that there's like pipes that you can like make sound travel through, and like people can communicate with pipes. There's a lot of stuff with sound, like the whole thing with his movie Careful is it's supposed to be this village where that's in the mountains, and if anything is too loud or anyone talks too loud, it causes an avalanche. So everyone has to be really quiet, but there's special soundproof chambers in certain parts of the mountains where you can be as loud as you want. And they play these like made up instruments that are like these giant like pipes that sound like different like horns. It's a really incredible movie. It's based
so cool.
Yeah.
I want to watch.
I could just go on and on about it, but yeah, you should. I definitely recommend it. I think it's still on Tubi TV, which is a free streaming service. I'm pretty sure it's still on there.
That's so cool.
But yeah, highly recommended. Really beautiful, great movie.
Do you have a favorite like genre of movie?
I mean, I would definitely approach horror as one of my favorite genres, but having said that, I think a lot of my favorite movies kind of defy genres. Like they're not just horror, they're not just this. They're oftentimes kind of fantastical and
so that's your
sort
favorite.
Of what?
Fantastical.
Yeah, I feel like fantastical just in general is like just my favorite movies are just like the like very absurd and weird, like Forbidden Zone, Careful. I mean, I would say, Gummo is up there. But yeah, I mean, a lot of those movies have their own rules of reality and their own sense of reality. And it's sort of like once you're watching it, you have to follow those rules. You have to understand those rules.
That's so
like
cool.
that, like Mulholland Drive, like stuff like that.
Yeah, I never thought about that before. That's so cool. You have like so much infinite potential.
Right, exactly.
So,
right, it's not limited by the rules of our world. It's like it has its own sort of. I mean, specifically Forbidden Zone. Also, I love that. Have you seen Forbidden Zone?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you should really watch Forbidden Zone.
I just wrote it down. I want to watch it.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, it's basically just like a living cartoon with people. It's like a 30s cartoon, but with live actors, and so it all follows like cartoon logic, but it's with like real people. So
cool.
It's just like incredible.
Yeah, I turned off my like learning or retaining information or like living life fully section of my brain. Like for some reason, like before January or the end of the year, I was like, I'm just gonna like spend this last week loving and appreciating and being grateful. And then
well, that's good.
Well, but like in the guise of like once the first hits, like you're gonna just slam stuff in your mind, like just start like just do. I don't know. I just had all these ideas of.
Well, I mean, look what you're doing right now.
What?
I mean, look what you're doing right now is like you're doing a whole podcast.
Oh yeah, totally. But yeah, like I like the suggestions of things to watch to expand your imagination and just your
definitely.
Yeah, like like I need to like turn it up because I want to be excited about stuff. Like what? Oh yeah, tell me something you're excited about.
Something I'm excited about. I guess finally finishing my feature, which you're in and your music is in, and
Yay.
A lot of my friends are in, and we have a rough cut that's completely done.
Yay!
And Whitney Moore is actually in it now. She has a really big role in it now.
Oh really?
Yeah, she plays the villain of the film, and she's She's really great and is in these like incredible prosthetics to look like this like creepy man. And I honestly think like Whitney Moore is like the new Lon Chaney. Like she actually like she really is like the woman of like a thousand faces. Like she can honestly, I think she can honestly play like any character.
That's so cool. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see it. Yeah, so like what number movie is this?
This would be technically my 7th feature film.
Dang, that's so crazy.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, there's some argument over like what constitutes a feature film with some of my work, like my early work. But I mean, my first,
well, how old were
what
you when you made what you
my
considered?
my first movie that at least I would consider a feature film, I was 17, and it's kind of more of a video art project, but it's like 70 minutes long, and it's a feature, and it was definitely born more um out of my like performance art world than necessarily like a movie with like a linear plot. But it was also that's what I was really into, and I made something that I really wanted to see and that I was excited about. And I kind of built it up from there, and each movie I made was a little bit more not even necessarily linear, but just I kind of kept building upon the surrealist concepts until I feel like my movies made slightly more and more narrative sense as they went.
Yeah, that's so cool. When did you meet the Trauma Gang?
Trauma was around the same time, like 17. I mean, that's I I was making my second feature film, Wakers, which was kind of like it was like a almost like a hybrid of like very surrealist video art and like kind of like a slasher movie. And I was like, I need to get Lloyd Kaufman in this. Like, I love Lloyd Kaufman. And I like called the trauma office like when I was in high school, like every single day for like definitely like close to like 3 or 4 months until finally they let me come and work with Lloyd. So that was the first time I got to actually hang out in the trauma office. I actually, before that, when I was younger, I went to Comic-Con like just to follow Lloyd around.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I got to work with Lloyd then, and then I talked to them about like, do you guys need any interns? And they were like, yeah, we actually do, and you could intern here.
Yeah.
So while I was still in high school, I started interning for Trauma.
And that's
and then I got a well, once you met me, I was a full-time employee.
Okay, were you in high school though?
By the time you met me, I would have like had graduated from high school.
Okay. So
yeah, because they were paying me. Well, I guess I should talk about how they were paying me before I was 18, but they had their own system. And then once I turned 18, basically I was like, yeah, like, just this summer, I'm probably going to have to get like a different job just because like I need to make like more money. And like, the internship wasn't really paying. And they were like, oh, well, like, what if we just like hired you to like work here? And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah, like, why don't you just like work here? Cause like we like your editing and stuff. So then I kind of just started producing and editing a lot of their internet content. And that was my job for like 3 years.
That's so cool. And what a great lesson in persistence and perseverance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, knowing what you want and just getting it. Because, yeah, I feel like we went there, I think it was 2016, on like one of our most fun tours.
Yeah, that's when I met you guys.
Yeah, and we just like, Charisse is like the biggest Trauma fan, and we found that place, and then I don't even remember why you guys let us in, but like we were just like,
well, I think you'd already had your video that you did with Kansas for Disco on the Trauma YouTube channel.
Yeah, maybe it was just like we saw you and we're like, who's that? Like, oh my goodness, because you don't expect to see, like, no offense, but like cool people anywhere. So when you see someone
right.
like stylish and nice and like excited and works somewhere cool, you're just like, oh my god. And we were like, Dylan rules. Like, and just like, obviously that office is, pretty nuts.
It's really fun.
Yeah, you're right. It must be. I always forget that we're not just like this like mean looking motorcycle gang, and like if someone lets us do something, it's like probably because we're just sort of, we're not.
You guys are like, I mean, you're pretty nice.
Yeah, I think That's probably, yeah,
And you come off as like really nice.
yeah. You come off nice the first time. That's so cool though. So you worked there 3 years. That's really cool.
Yeah, now I mean, and now I basically, I mean, for the most part, I get to like make videos for people like for a living. So I mean, I consider myself really lucky. You
Yeah, you
know,
can
I
say,
mean, I always say, I don't make a ton of money, but I make about as much money as I'd make working at like a fast food restaurant. But I make it doing what I love, so I feel like that's worth it for me.
that's the goal is to make enough money to live. And
Yeah,
keep making more stuff, you know?
yeah, absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
cool. So that's to you success is how would you define success, I guess?
That's a good question. I would definitely define success more as making what you want to make and making what you want to make happen. Um, I I mean certainly like having enough money to, have like the basics in life is like great. Um, but just being able to like make my art in general and like the fact that like, I'd wanted to make a feature film for so long as a teenager, then I finally did when I was like 17 and 18 and stuff. That to me felt like a really great success that I finally achieved like this big goal of mine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that success can really come in so many different forms. Like, I mean, I think the type of success that just really propped up in, Western culture and just in our culture in general is financial success. But I think just like there's artistic success, there's, emotional success. Um, you know, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different kinds of success. And I definitely feel like I've had a lot of artistic success, which I'm really happy about, which
Yeah.
is just like making what I want to see
Yeah.
or hear.
That's so cool. And I think important because like I feel like people always ask me that in interviews, like, what do you consider success to be? And it's like
Right.
I just realized the more and more I answer, like,
Making a great record. I
yeah,
mean,
just getting to be a musician is success.
right.
But I do think like, oh, maybe it'd be cool if as artists we talk about like that and it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be money because it's like
Yeah.
I think yeah, I think it would be cooler if success wasn't based on a monetary goal.
I agree.
And to like lift up and hold up the people that are happy just to get to do it.
Yeah.
Bring it back to
Absolutely.
the basics. That's cool. Oh, and I have one question for you. Um,
Yeah.
when you're like getting ready to go out, and
Hmm.
it's like maybe before all this, like you're getting ready to go out, like
Hmm.
go listen to music you like or do something fun, like you get dressed and then you
Okay.
step out the door. What song is like your theme song? Like what plays when you walk?
I would say it depends on the day. Today, while I was getting ready and doing my makeup for this, I was listening to Hang On to Your Ego by the Beach Boys
Yeah.
because I actually think there was a moment where I felt just like in my head, my ego kind of got like a little out of control, just like inside my own head, not even anything I was saying out loud. And
Yeah.
then I was just like, hold on, like I kind of need to like check myself before I wreck myself. And then I just like,
Yeah.
I put on Hang On to Your Ego by the Beach Boys, and I was kind of like, okay, this just like reminds me to like be humble.
Yeah, totally. Do you use music like that a lot?
Yeah, I definitely think sometimes I like listen to music just to kind of like affect my mood
Yeah.
or just like affect how I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of the time, I think I just listen to music just to make me like happy.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I really and well no, and I think I listen to music to inspire me. I mean, obviously that's like kind of a given, but just like in terms of specific production and specific melody and specific writing,
Yeah.
I've definitely in the last few years I've been really into listening to more than specific artists, specific songwriters and producers. Um, because you know, just as with film, with music, which I also make, I'm very interested in the production and writing side of things.
Yeah.
So I'm a really big fan of specific songwriters like Paul Williams and like Jim Steinman and stuff. because I feel like they're like two of the most like powerful pop songwriters like in history.
Yeah,
Um,
that's cool.
and yeah, and I like
You're an
specific
amazing,
produce.
amazing songwriter.
What?
You're an amazing
Oh,
songwriter.
thank you. I mean, so are you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm like really, really impressed and surprised. It's like most people I think make um just like music to make music. Uh,
Right.
but it seems like you're writing songs that have to be written, like
Yeah, I mean, thank you. That's really nice. I definitely feel like, I mean, what it is that I'm making songs that I feel like, not only do I feel like I want to hear those songs and like they're catchy to me and they're stuck in my head even before I compose them, but it's songs sometimes that I'm surprised didn't exist already. Like sometimes I'll come up with a melody that, oh, sorry, there's like cars honking. I come up with a melody that to me is, which sounds so much like I'm just like being so self-congratulating, but you know, it's, this melody is so catchy to me. I think about like every song I've heard just to make sure that that melody doesn't exist already, because
totally. That's why you need a Larry in your band. Is like Larry knows every single song ever.
I do need a Larry in my
Yeah,
band.
and I'll
Yeah.
be like, I'll be so scared to show him new songs that we have because I'm like, man, this is. I'll be like, if this is something, I'll be so disappointed. And when I bring it to him and I'm like playing it, and he's like, I'm like, so. And if he doesn't say, he'll just go. If something sounds like something, he'll be like, like he'll just kind of shake his head if something isn't working, and not just be like, is it okay? And he'll just be like,
Oh.
and then we'll get to play it. But it's like, yeah,
Oh, okay.
he knows. I think that's it's I think that's like the point. The goal is to make something,
Yeah.
or to find a song that sounds, or to me, my favorite thing about music, or favorite things about songs, is when it's
Mhm.
um like unexpected but anticipated, like when something like there's a change and you're like, oh, wow, but you're also, it
Yeah,
feels regular, so it's like,
definitely. I love like bridges and key changes, and I also like I'm really into building different melodies on simple riffs.
yeah,
Like I really like coming up with a really, really good riff that just you can just loop over and over again, but then you can build, because if you're just coming up with different melodies and different, ways of singing that same thing, then you can still have, you know, verses and choruses and bridges, even if it's the same chord progression and the same riff.
yeah.
Um, but I also love
Don't tell
composing.
anyone.
Yeah, no, a bunch of my songs that are more characterized as like known are built like that. Um, but no, also, I mean, I'm actually exporting the stems right now for like one of the more melodically complex songs I've written, and that we're gonna have that mix soon. And I'm really, really proud of it. We had all these session musicians on it, and it's really beautiful sounding. It really felt like making like a whole movie. Like it's like a very cinematic song, which
That's
I
so
like.
cool. I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you.
Well, I guess one question is, I was curious if you have ever seen a UFO or an alien.
A UFO, I'm not positive about. I'm sorry to say.
Oh,
Um,
fine.
I believe that they're real. I believe in aliens and I believe in life on other planets. To my knowledge, I can't remember unless maybe I saw one and then it like made me forget. But um, yeah, I can't think of a time I saw a UFO. I feel like I've had like paranormal experiences, like in terms of like ghosts or poltergeists, that I feel like are significant to me, but I don't feel like I necessarily um yeah, I don't know if I ever really feel like I had an experience with life from other planets, unless what I was experiencing when I was a kid that I thought was paranormal maybe did have to do with an alien or supernatural experience, like extraterrestrial experience.
What was that?
When I was I see my rabbit's ear, like just her one ear sticking out, and it's really cute. When I was like 3 years old, so I used to have a lot of I used to be really sick as a kid, and I would basically always sleep with a humidifier. Um, and I remember I would jump on my bed a lot, and I would try to reach my ceiling, but I couldn't reach my ceiling because I was too short to reach my ceiling. But one time as a kid, I was sleeping in my bed, and then I start to see all these birds walking around my room. Like they look like pigeons. And I started to hear voices, and then I saw what looked like my lamp had kind of a curved, like pear-shaped base to the lamp. And I swear I saw a mouth open in the lamp and start talking. And the birds started talking, and like everything had different voices, and they were all talking over each other. And it felt like I was surrounded by this like crowd. And then I felt myself levitate off of my bed and move all the way up to the ceiling. And what I still, I just feel like if this was a dream, I wouldn't remember it so vividly to this day. I remember my face touching the ceiling, and I could feel the moisture on the ceiling from my humidifier. I had never touched the ceiling before.
Yeah.
And I just remember the texture of the ceiling, and just like the moisture, and just like looking straight up at the ceiling, and then I just dropped and everything stopped.
Wow.
And I remember really hitting the bed like hard, and everything was gone. And obviously I told my parents about it, and they're like, oh, well, it was just a dream. And I'm like, okay, like if it was a dream, like I just feel like I can't, like the fact that I was able to describe exactly how my ceiling felt in such vivid detail without ever having touched that ceiling before was so intense to me.
That's a deep cut for sure. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like maybe you could have, I mean, at the very least, astral projected, you know?
Yeah, I think maybe I did. Like, I think maybe I just because I think when you're a kid, you're just more open to that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think just just maybe just without even meaning to, I just did that.
Yeah, totally. That's so cool. And scary and exciting.
Yeah.
But it sounds
Actually, there's a few animations that I laid over some of the footage in the video for More Dead that are based on that dream.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, you don't see them for that long, but it's kind of like I exposed it over other live action footage while it's happening. So it's not super noticeable, but I've been doing animations like based on that stuff since I was like 12 or so. So I had all of these animations I was just like laying over it.
Yeah, I love the animation on that video. Like,
thank you.
It's so cool. Like when you start, I really appreciate and really respect you, and like anyone that kind of starts dreaming big and making big things when they're like, 17, because then it's like each thing you make, like most people, I think when you start later, it's everything's so precious and you feel kind of,
I mean, I also just I always try to say, just whenever I'm doing interviews like this, that like I don't think there's anything wrong with starting later in life with any art, and I encourage it. And I think like, I just really don't want anyone to ever feel like it's too late for them. And just because I experience things in a certain way, and like just my life had a certain path, I just think like, it's really never too late to like start making art. Like you could be like 80, 90 years old and just start doing something that you'd never done before. And I think that's just as incredible and cool as starting when you're young.
Totally. That's a real good message. But I think what's interesting is that, or no matter when you start, you have to be passionate about it, or else you're not
going to absolutely
follow it through. And I think what's interesting is that I don't think most people like when I was when I was that age, like I was 100% passionate about being a singer, but I didn't want to ever perform. So it's like that, if
Wow.
I, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just
Right.
cool to not only have a passion, but to pursue it, you know?
Yeah.
And, uh, and stick with it and it be, you know, this, your actual dream. So I think that that's super, super cool. Um, and I am very, very proud to know you as a friend and as a collaborator. Are
Me
are
too.
we
I'm
collaborators?
proud to know you.
Thank you. Was there anything else that you wanted to say
I
to?
guess I want to ask you,
Yeah,
in terms of artistic success, is there a goal that you haven't attained yet that you'd like to one day in the future?
thanks for asking me a question. I
Yeah.
Yeah, there are things that I really want. But I think for me the main like success is in, I know that not having success is when we don't have anything coming up. I know, you know,
Right.
like um I just need to keep doing it, you know. It's not like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's not one of those things where it's like once you get to here then it's over and you can just rest
Of
forever.
course, yeah. But I'm saying, is there a specific thing you could actually name that you feel like you really want to achieve one day? It's okay if not. I just
Oh
like, is
yeah,
there?
no, totally.
Yeah,
I mean, I want to, there's like all of, I want to play Australia and Japan, and I
that's
want
cool.
to like play the festivals in
Oh, I
England.
feel like you guys would be a big hit in Japan for
Well,
sure.
thanks. Yeah, I want that. I also want to be, um, oddly, I want to be like a Disney or a Pixar, like,
Voice actor?
yeah,
Oh, well, you have a great voice, as
like,
evidenced by your new role in The Puppeteer's
yeah,
Assistant, now in Adult Swim Smalls Volume 5,
yeah.
directed by yours truly.
Yay! Thanks for letting
You're
me.
great. I mean, your voice is so great, and I think you could land a big voice acting job for sure. I mean, because you have such a distinctive voice. You know,
Thank,
people are looking for specifically like high voices like that.
yeah, I'm really good at, like, I sound like a kid, and I'm good at doing old
Yeah,
people. So it's like,
yeah, you can do both. Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, that's, yeah. I'd also like Brazil. There's so many places I want to play, and
for sure.
um,
I feel like probably a lot of people want you to come to Brazil, right?
yeah, people write
You
us.
guys must get a lot of comments like "Come to Brazil."
Yeah, the classic, like when you post a tour poster and everyone's like, "You're not coming to my town." It's like we just wrote like 30 dates in 32 days. Like, I'm sorry
Right?
for not making it to. You know, it's like we don't choose this. Like, it's
Come
not
to
on.
Brazil.
But yeah, it's, I definitely want to go all over. Do you have a like a next spot you want to go with your uh, wonderful?
I think a big artistic goal of mine is to make a film entirely on sets that I can uh actually like design. Like, I mean, I'm not much of a carpenter, so I think I could do some art direction on it, but in terms of like, I actually want to come up with the sets from the beginning, like, you know, draw them out, come up with them with you know, my friends who sketch and make art, and then actually build them to those specifications, and actually, you know, it's really about world building, like actually create
That's
physical
so
worlds
cool.
that I can shoot, you know, a whole movie start to finish in, and actually, you know, have like, you know, like I mean, I love like the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and stuff, because it's all sets that are part of this imaginary world. So that's something that, yeah, that's a big like goal of mine, is to make something entirely into the bathtub was the closest thing to that so far. But that still, you know, I wasn't actually there physically. We were shooting on the green screen, and I just think there would be a certain level of freedom I'd have actually, you know, shooting on real sets.
Yeah, totally. That's
That's a big goal of mine right now.
cool. Well, I'm sure you'll get there in no time.
I think I will. Yeah, no, I'm like pretty confident that one day I'll be able to do that.
That's so cool. Well,
Yeah.
I think that about wraps it up. But thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
I love
I
you so much and miss
I
you.
love you too, Bonnie. And I miss you too. And it makes me smile to get to talk to you and see you.
I know, it's so nice. This is like, I think this whole thing is just gonna be me talking to my friends because it's like
Yeah,
we would never do this. Just like, hey, you want to Zoom for a bit? Like, but it
right.
makes me feel so much better to like.
Yeah, it gives you an excuse to just have like a great conversation with someone. I
Yeah,
agree.
I mean, I've only done this with Ricky and Marcel
Mhm.
and you, so it's like every time I'm like, like I might, this might be my new addiction. Is like, I'll call you back next week. Like, oh, we didn't get something. Do you mind if we do part two? Just like,
Go for
like
it. I'd
this.
love to talk to you again.
Yeah. Will you tell Glitter I say hi?
Absolutely. Yeah. Here, I'll do it right now. Bonnie says hi.
Hi.
Oh, wait, here, wait, before you go,
Yeah.
let's take a look at the bunny.
Okay, cool.
Here, I actually taped this to a tripod, so I just took it off. Okay, here we go. Okay, here comes the bunny. Hello, say hello. Wait, I'm gonna put the light on her so you can really see her. Wait, hold on. She has to cameo in everything.
Yay.
I made her cameo in the, I think, Fantasia Film Festival too, because she's just so pretty. She has to be in everything. Look at her eyeball. Hello.
She's so cute. Her ears are little.
Yeah, her ears are little, but her body is big. Okay, say bye, Voodoo. Voodoo will not say goodbye.
Aww.
Voodoo will not do anything she doesn't want to because she's a diva.
It's important to be a diva if you're gonna be a bunny.
That's true. Bye, Voodoo.
Bye, Voodoo. I love you.
Love you, Voodoo. Okay. Bye, Bonnie.
Bye. Love you. Let's talk
Love you.
soon.
Bye.